All right, 1, 2. It's on like a 20-second delay. I think this is on about a 20 or 30-second delay, but yeah, that'll work. I can see that there's about 4 people who have joined. We'll start here in just a second. I'm trying to set up the or enable the questions feature. So bear with us for just a second. Why is that disabled? All right, folks, I'm not sure that we're going to get the Q&A portion of this established. When I try to initiate it, it says the feature is disabled, so I apologize. Let me try one more thing, but I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get that feature to work. Okay. All right, so we might have to run without that. So thanks for joining us this morning. My name is Zach Hartje. I'm with the Teaching, Learning, and Technology Department. And this morning, what we'd like to do is share with you some ways in which you might be able to use Google Docs as a collaboration tool. Whether you're a faculty member and want to use this in your class with your students, or if you're a staff member and you're able to use it within your department to help create documents and collaborate on documents. It's really a great tool to facilitate that. For those who are new to Google Docs, what we're going to do this morning is kind of give you a broad overview of what Google Docs is. And then what we're going to do is look at some of the features that Google Docs entails, and then really allow you to participate in a real-time collaborative document so that you can really get a feel for how the application works. So that's kind of the agenda for this morning. We have about an hour scheduled. I'm not sure that we'll go quite that long, but we'll get rolling here and kind of see where it takes us. So I have multiple screens here in which you can't tell. So I'm going to be moving some things around. So sometimes I might be looking off to the side. Apologies for that, but I think it'll be a little bit easier for me to control it on this end with my multiple screens. So as we speak, I'm actually going to move this over to my left screen and do a screen share here. So I'm actually going to pull up Google Docs so we can take a look at the application itself. And as I'm pulling that up, kind of describe to you what the application does and what it is. So essentially, Google Docs is a cloud-based word processing application. It's part of the larger or broader Google Drive suite. Once we get in there, I'll show you what else is enabled and available to you. But Google Docs is a word processing type of application. So it's going to be very similar to your Word product or your Open Office products or whatever you use to create word processing documents. And we're trying to do a screen share here. So let's see what we got. Okay, so right now I'm sharing my screen with you. I'm currently logged into Google Drive, and Google Drive is the way that you actually access Google Docs. I mentioned that Google Docs is a word processing application. It's in the cloud, so things are essentially created, edited, shared with, and stored in Google's cloud. You're not actually sharing anything down to your computer or to a thumb drive or anything like that. The nice thing about it being available in the cloud is that anytime that you want to access a document, as long as you have a computer, tablet, anything with a web browser and an active internet connection, you're going to be able to access your documents, edit your documents, collaborate in real time with other users. I should mention that there are apps available, tablet apps available for Google Docs. So if you're an Apple user, iOS user, or if you are an Android user, you have the ability to download an app and actually work on your docs on your tablet device. So that's a nice feature as well. All right, I'm going to, per request, I'm zooming in here a little bit. Hopefully you can see that a little bit better. So again, this is my account, and I'm logged into Google Drive as we speak. And Google Drive is the broader application suite for Google that's very similar to your Office type products. Today we're going to look specifically at Google Docs, but if I click this create button here, you can see that you have the ability to create a document, and then again, that's going to be your word processing type documents. You have the ability to create presentations. You also have the ability to create spreadsheets, and they have forms and drawings as well. So your documents, presentations, and spreadsheets are very similar to your Microsoft Office or Open Office products. So this does give you the ability to create those type of documents in a cloud-based environment, and also gives you the ability to collaborate with other users. Okay, so I'm just going to create a new document here from scratch to kind of show you that process. It's pretty easy to do. I'm just going to come to, and I'm sorry, I didn't tell you how to get to this. If you've never used this before, you have the ability to use the Google Suite free of charge through the College of Charleston Google Apps for Education suite. Every single faculty and staff member has access to this. If you've never used this before, the first thing that you might want to do is log into My Charleston, and you have the ability to sync your Cougars password with your Google Apps for Education suite so that you're using the same credentials. Sorry. And what we're going to do is once we have that account established, if you go to drive.google.com, this will bring you to this kind of Google Drive dashboard here. Okay, so again, that URL is here up at the top, drive.google.com. And you can see I've used this quite a bit, so I have a number of documents here. If you've used this for the first time, this portion of it's actually going to be blank. So we're going to create a quick document just to kind of show you that process. So I'm going to go create document. And really what I'm pulling this up for is just to show you how similar it looks to your Open Office or your Microsoft Office application, at least that word processing application. If you're familiar with the older versions of Office, your 2003 and prior, this looks very, very similar to that. You have your menu, with your file, edit, view, etc. You have all of your formatting options here that you typically would see, at least the more widely used ones. This is not going to be as robust as an Open Office or as a Microsoft Office suite, but for a majority of users, most of the formatting tools that you're going to use on a regular basis are going to be found here in Google Docs as well. Some things that you wouldn't see in your typical Office products are over here in the upper right-hand corner. You can see that I have a share option. This is what allows me to share documents with other users and to be able to collaborate in real time. So I can be working on a document while one or an infinite number of users are working on the document at the same time. And so to make that, or to hopefully allow you to see that and make that a little bit more sense, I'm going to just kind of show you a couple of videos that Google has created kind of as advertisements for Google Docs. And this will hopefully give you a little bit of better idea of how this works in a collaborative fashion. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pull this video up here. These are meant to be a little humorous, but it gives you a sense of how Google Docs works as well.
Oh, here she comes. She's a scary lady. She's an angry tiger. She's a man gobbler, eater. She's a man eater. Oh, here she comes. Watch out, boy, she'll chew you up. Oh, here she comes.
Okay, so hopefully you could see from that quick example is that there were a number of cursors in there, and it was going back and forth from Hall and back and forth from Oates, and it was color coordinated. So basically, those two users were working on the document at the exact same time, and as changes were being made, the other person was able to see those in real time. Another example real quick is here, very similar fashion. Going back and forth from Tim and Jess. And now Mom interjects. Okay, so just a couple examples of how that can actually be used in a collaborative fashion. So I know those are quick videos, just 30-second videos. So what I want to do is really make this a little bit interactive and allow you as a user to be able to participate in a Google Doc. And then as you're participating, we'll show you some of the features that are available that makes this really collaborative. So I'm going to pull up a document that I created for this, and that is going to be this Hangout example. And you'll notice at the very top of this, there is a shortened URL. If you want to participate, and if you pull up a browser and type in that URL, you will be joined into this document. And the way I've set this up is that everyone would have full editing rights so that we can really see Google Docs in action. Again, I'll show you how to set up the share features and everything else kind of as we go through this, but I thought that it would be a good idea for you to actually get a feel for how to use this prior to looking at some of the features that are available. And actually, we'll walk through some of those features together. So I might give everyone here just a minute or two to pull up a web browser and enter this URL if you were interested. And then we'll kind of collaborate on this document together. So again, I'll give you about a minute, and then we'll kind of talk through what we're going to do. I'm able to see people as they join, and you will as well, up here in the upper right-hand corner, just to the left of this comments feature. As people start to join, a little avatar will pop up, and we'll talk a little bit about that here in just a second. So I'll give you a second to pull up a web browser and join the Google Doc. All right, so some folks have joined, and some folks have already taken the liberty of changing this document, and this is really what I want you guys to see. So I'm going to point out a couple things here. As you guys joined the doc, again, these avatars started to show up in the upper right-hand corner of my screen, and this shows me that all the folks who have joined and are collaborating on this document. You'll notice that every single one of these is set to anonymous. And the reason that it's set to anonymous is because you're likely not logged in to the Google Drive suite. If you were, I should see your actual username. And that's, sorry, I'm just trying to count how many people we have here. So it looks like we have 6 or 7 people. And so that's why we have these anonymous animals, anonymous creatures. They use some interesting ones. We have minks and armadillos, etc. So this shows me that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 folks joining this document, 8 including myself. So we have a number of folks on this document that we're collaborating with at the moment. Okay, so what we're going to do is take a look at a few things. In the upper right-hand corner, I have this share button, and this is how I actually shared this document. So when I create these from scratch, they're typically set to private, and only myself has access. And so if I click on this share button here, you'll notice that anyone with a link has the ability to edit this. I can change that to just comment or just view. So if I change this to just view, hit done, even though you guys can view this, you likely don't have editing rights any longer, but we don't want to do that. So I'm going to switch it back to edit. All right, and that's at a global level. So if anyone has this link, they have the ability to do these sort of things. Edit, comment, or view. If I wanted to share it with individual users, say I was using this within my department and there were certain individuals that I wanted to share this with, or if I was using this in a classroom setting and I was a faculty member and I wanted to share it with students, or if I was a student and wanted to share it with other students or my faculty member, I could input people's email address, their Google account, and give them the same sorts of rights. So I can edit, comment, or view, and then I'll do that real quick, share this with Monica, and I can send this on, and that will add her and give her editing capabilities to this document. Okay, so there's a few different ways in which people can participate on a document itself. If we look at the body of this document, you'll notice that there are a number of cursors in there at the moment. So as I hover over these, it'll tell me whose cursor that is. So in this case, anonymous mink, anonymous armadillo, etc. And they're all color-coded. Those color codes are going to match up with the color codes of the users in the upper right-hand corner. So it gives me a visual cue of who is currently editing the document and where they actually are in the document itself. As a user starts to edit and type into this document, it also displays their name, and it also follows along with that user. So again, I'm seeing this in actual real time, which is a very, very nice feature and very useful feature if I'm trying to collaborate, especially if I'm working on a document at the same time. Oftentimes when you collaborate, it may be in an asynchronous type of format where I edit something or I create or edit something on a Word document. I then save that. I email it to another user. They make a change. They may email it back. It works okay if you have only 2 users going back and forth. It's once you start to add that third user or more where it can kind of get confusing, because when you're emailing files back and forth, you're not sure if you ever have the right document, the right revision, etc. So using Google Docs, it kind of eliminates all that, because again, everything's stored in the cloud. When you access this document, you're accessing it through a URL, and so everyone's accessing the same URL. So anytime someone wants to make edits, if it's done at the same time, you're able to see those changes being made as they happen. Another nice thing about Google Docs is that you always have a revision history. Again, you're not working off of multiple files, so I don't have to date those files and then go back and find one. I can always come back and look at a revision history, and I'm going to show you that real quick. So under the File menu, I can go to See Revision History, and this is going to show me all of the edits that have taken place from users. Okay. And in this case, my anonymous orangutan has made some edits, and those happened just recently, and I have the ability to see that. If I wanted to see what edits were made, in this case by myself, at 9:30, I can go back and take a look at those. That's when I actually created this document. And as you can see, it's color coded. So all the green is what I created. If I come back to the anonymous, all the blue stuff is what the anonymous orangutan had done. If I wanted to revert back to my original document, or if there were a number of revisions and I wanted to jump back to a version at a previous date and time, I can easily do that by clicking the restore this revision. And so if I do this, it's going to take us back to the original document, and it's going to remove all the changes that had been made prior to doing so. If I realize that's something that I really didn't want to do, I can always come back into revision history and change it right back. So in this case, the most recent version prior to that restore was this one done at 10:18. I can restore that revision as well, and that'll take me right back. So again, you're not having to ever really rely on saving documents and then sending those documents to the correct individuals at the right time. Everything's stored in the cloud, and everyone has access to it through the same URL. Okay, so since we wanted to make this a kind of a collaborative and interactive session, I wanted to give you the opportunity to participate in this document or with this document. A couple of you already have. But essentially, this is a story about visiting Grandma on Thanksgiving Day. She lives off in the beaten path in a cottage. There's no road that leads up to the house, so we had to park the car and walk through the dense woods to be able to enjoy that Thanksgiving feast, or in this case, blowout. The walk itself was an adventure. And so what is that adventure? So what I'd like you guys to do, if you're willing to participate, is kind of talk about that adventure. And then as we go along, people can make changes and make edits to one another. As we're going through this, it's probably smart to say, if you're going to use this in a collaborative fashion with a number of folks, probably more than 3, and you're all working on a document at the same time, it's probably really good to lay out some ground rules. You're obviously going to be working on this with folks that you know and trust, or hopefully that you know and trust. So you probably won't run into some situations that we'll run into in just a minute where people are overwriting others' work. But in this example, it's meant to be fun and just really give you a hands-on experience on how to use this. So if you would like to participate, please tell us about that adventure. In this case, walking 6 miles to Grandma's cottage for Thanksgiving. Okay, so as you can see, some folks are making some edits to this document. If you had a question for an individual, or if you had a question about a particular point of the document or in the document, you have the ability to leave a comment to either ask a question or to provide input without inserting that into the document itself. So I'm going to quickly show you how you can do that. So I'm just going to highlight some text here. And I'm going to go into the insert option, or the insert menu, and I'm going to say insert a comment. And you'll notice that it puts these comments off to the side. And so in this case, I'm going to leave the comment. And you'll notice what it'll do is it'll highlight the area in which this comment refers to. So in this case, the 8 inches of snow on the ground, uphill walk both ways. This is one of those stories that my dad tells me, and how he got to school every day for his entire childhood. So I think that's probably a lot of people can probably relate to that. So as you can see, Monica just left a comment to my comment. So if I hover over this here, I'm sorry, not hover over it, but if I click on a comment, you notice that you have the ability to reply to that. So I could reply Monica's comment as well. Sorry, that's big. So you can have a running comment list here. And again, these are all comments that are going to be associated with that sentence. There were 8 inches of snow on the ground because it was highlighted. So So what you can do is leave those comments throughout the document. And as someone or users come in and view those comments, again, you can make changes to those comments. And then once something is resolved, you can actually click this resolve button, and it'll actually remove the comments and all the subsequent comments below that into a resolved sort of area. So what that's stating is that you've looked at those comments, you've made maybe the changes that are recommended, and that has been resolved. And so that just sends it off into the archive and removes it from the active Google Doc. So you don't have a whole lot of comments on the right-hand side of the screen if they've already been resolved. Okay, so we've seen a number of changes here. Now that we've had those changes, I'm going to go back to the revision history. I know I've already showed you this, but because we've had some more changes, I just want to show you that it keeps a running archive of those changes. Okay, and again, I can always revert back to or restore a previous version if I wanted to. I'm not going to do so in this case. So I think there are times when using Word documents can be valuable. And the nice thing about Google Docs is that you have the ability to both upload Word documents into Google Docs to then allow for the collaboration. And then once you have a completed document, you do have the ability to actually export it out as a Word document or another file type if you wanted to continue to work on it on the Microsoft Word side of things. One thing to note is that the formatting, while it is pretty good, sometimes depending on the type of formatting that you either have in your Word document or you're trying to push down to your Word document, it can change a little bit. So if you were to create something in Google Docs and export it out as a Word document, excuse me, it would be good to review that document in the Word application, because there may be some edits and some corrections that need to be made. But I'm going to show you how you can quickly and easily do that. So let's say we had our finished document here. We wanted to share this with someone, and maybe they were requesting a Word document or their type of file type. I could easily go to File and say Download As, and then I can export this out as those file types. You'll notice that we have Word and then some other, or maybe the other common file type that you might use is that PDF document. And so this is another way that if you don't have Adobe Acrobat to create PDFs, you can actually create PDFs from Google itself. So just another tip and trick there. Okay, so as we were working on this document, I don't know if you may have noticed, but right here where it says all changes saved to Drive, it will constantly save this document as you're working through it, so you never have to worry about clicking save. I think that's a really nice feature. I was actually working on it wasn't a Word document, but I was working on a PDF document, merging the number of different PDFs together the other day. And I probably had merged together 100 and some pages and tried to merge another set, and it gave me that Acrobat has stopped working, closed the program. And so I closed the program and I lost everything. Obviously very annoying. You might have experienced that using some other applications. Well, with Google Docs, it saves your work as you go about. So I'm just going to quit. As I type here, if you guys want to look up here where it says all changes saved in Drive, it should say saving as I am typing. So this is an example of how Google saves. And you can notice that it just says saving. And after about 5 seconds, it'll say all changes saved. And as I keep going, it's saving again. And in about 5 seconds, it'll say that all changes have been saved. And so that's great. You don't ever have to worry about clicking save and losing your documents if for whatever reason your operating system decides to crash on you. You also don't really have to worry about your hard drive failing, losing a flash drive that has your documents on it, again, because everything is stored in the cloud and accessible through an internet connection. You also, I should put a little caveat to that, you do have the ability to work on these documents offline. And then once you come back online, it'll push those changes to the cloud. But one thing to note is if you're working in that offline format, you obviously aren't able to collaborate in real time with other users. But again, that's a nice feature. You don't have to worry about hard drive failures. I'm notorious for putting a flash drive, or I used to be, I don't really use them anymore, but putting a flash drive in my pocket, going home with it, and then washing my pants and having the flash drive go through the washer and the dryer only to have it not work when it comes out. So Google Drive is something that kind of saved me from doing that on a regular basis. So this is really a good tool to provide from a faculty and academic side of things, allow faculty to collaborate with students either in a one-to-one or one-to-many format. And it's also a good way for students to interact with each other. Maybe they're working on a group project or they're trying to get peer review, peer feedback on a paper. A nice way to do this. Again, they're not having to send files back and forth to one another. Everything's just saved in the cloud. We also use this internally within TLT as our primary application to create all of our documents. Pretty much everything that we do is in Google Docs, and we do it for a number of reasons. Oftentimes we're collaborating on the same document. You don't have to be, as we aren't today, in the same room. You can be at other locations, other parts of the country, other parts of the world, and working on the same document. And it also gives us a central place to store everything. So if I ever want to find a document that someone else worked on, I just log into our Google Drive account, I go to our shared TLT folder, and I'm able to find those documents. Let me go back to the drive here. Once you use this on a regular basis, you're going to see that you have a number of different files. I have some documents, I have some spreadsheets, I have some folders here that you'll see as well. It tells you the owner of the document, and it'll tell you when it was last modified and who it was last modified by. So you'll see that you have the users right next to the date. That's a really nice feature to have, a quick way to see who edited a document when they edited the document without having to go into the revision history of said document. Just like you could on your operating system, you have the ability to create folders and then put your files into those folders. But what's nice is you can share those folders. So you don't have to share the individual files every time that you create something. If you create a folder and share that folder with your group of users, and then any document that you put into that folder will then be shared to that entire group. So another nice, quick, and easy way to share documents with those you'd be collaborating with. One other thing that I wanted to show you was there is next to share this comments feature. And so we showed you how you can leave comments, you can add replies to comments, and you can resolve those. They always go into the kind of the archive, the comments archive once they're resolved. So if necessary, you can bring them back. So it's kind of nice about Google Docs is once you do an action, you can always kind of undo it. So you have the revision history where you can go back to a previous version of a document, and then you have this comments archive where I can reopen something that may have been resolved. Okay, so that'll bring it right back into the document. So another nice feature. And then once again, we can resolve that. Okay, so hopefully you've been able to participate in our kind of interactive document here, and you kind of get a better idea of how Google Docs work, and how you're able to collaborate in real time with other users, how you're able to see what part of a document folks are working on, etc. And hopefully you've maybe come up with some ways in which you can maybe use this within your department, or if you're a faculty member, maybe use this with your students in the classroom for group projects and peer review and things of that nature. So let me see. I don't think we ever got the question and answer add-on to work here, but let me give it another whirl. Yeah, I apologize. For some reason, we're not able to enable that feature this morning. What I'm going to do is add my email address here to the bottom of this document. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to field those for you. And if you need any help getting started, creating your account, maybe syncing your password in My Charleston, please let me know and we can walk you through those steps. Okay, so we came in quite a bit under an hour, but that's okay. I think I hit everything that I wanted to show you today. It's really a useful application, but there's not a whole lot of bells and whistles to it. So if you're comfortable using your typical word processing type of documents, you'll notice that you have those formatting options. So that should be pretty straightforward. The new things, or the things that might be new to you in this, are the commenting features, the sharing features, and that real-time collaboration. So again, if you have any questions or anything, please don't hesitate to contact me and we'd be happy to help you out. All right. I appreciate you joining this morning, and I hope everyone has a good day and good rest of the week and a good weekend. And happy Thanksgiving.